This is day 4, Amendments of the Constitution. If the Constitution is supreme, can it be changed at all? When we describe the Constitution as supreme, does that mean it is rigid and unchangeable? Not necessarily. A constitution must provide stability, but it cannot remain frozen in time. Society evolves, political demands change, and governance structures adapt. Therefore, the Indian Constitution provides a mechanism for amendment under Article 368. So, why did the framers choose to make the Constitution amendable? This the framers understood that India was entering an uncertain democratic future. If the constitution were too rigid, it would become impractical. If too flexible, it would lose authority. So they adopted a middle path, neither as rigid as the United States Constitution nor as flexible as the British parliamentary system. This reflects constitutional pragmatism. Now, how exactly can the Constitution be amended? The amendment process operates at three levels: simple majority for certain provisions under outside Article 368, special majority under Article 368, special majority plus ratification by half of the states. The degree of rigidity depends on the nature of the provisions involved. Administrative details are easier to amend. Federal features require broader consensus. This layered design preserves balance, which brings us to what is the role of Parliament in this process. Under Article 368, Parliament exercises the amending power, and an amendment bill can be introduced in either house, requires a special majority, does not require prior presidential approval. The president must give assent. Formally, the amending power lies with the parliament. But then, is parliament's power to amend unlimited? If parliament represents the will of the people, can it amend any part of the constitution? In the Shankari Prasad case 1951, the Supreme Court held that the constitutional amendments were not law under Article 13, and therefore Parliament could amend fundamental rights. This was reaffirmed in the Sajjan Singh case 1965. However, in the Golaknath case 1967, the Supreme Court reversed its earlier position and held that Parliament could not amend fundamental rights. This created institutional tension between Parliament and the judiciary. At this point, what did the Supreme Court decide in the Keswanand Bharti case? In the Keswanand Bharti case 1973, a 13-judge constitutional bench, the largest in Indian history, delivered a landmark judgment. The court held that Parliament can amend any part of the Constitution, including fundamental rights, but it cannot alter the basic structure of the Constitution. This was a constitutional compromise. Parliament retained broad amending power, but constitutional identity gained protection. So, naturally, what is meant by the basic structure? The court did not provide an exhaustive definition. Instead, through various judgments over time, certain principles were recognized as part of the basic structure: supremacy of the Constitution, rule of law, judicial review, federalism, secularism, separation of powers, democratic republic. These principles form the constitutional core. They protect identity beyond temporary political majorities. However, why is the basic structure doctrine so significant? Because it ensures that democracy does not become majoritarian absolutism. Even a constitutional majority cannot dismantle foundational values. It creates a structural safeguard against authoritarianism. It preserves constitutional continuity. Yet, did Parliament ever attempt to test these limits? Yes. During the emergency, through the 42nd constitutional amendment, Parliament attempted to expand its amending power and curtail judicial review. However, in the Minerva Mill case, 1980, the Supreme Court reaffirmed that limited amending power itself is a part of the basic structure. The balance between parliament and judiciary was restored. So ultimately, what does the amending mechanism reveal about Indian constitutionalism? It reveals that the constitution is designed to evolve but not dissolve. It balances flexibility with stability, democratic will with constitutional restraint, majority power with institutional morality. The amendment process is not merely procedural, it reflects a deeper constitutional philosophy: reform without rupture, change without destruction. And that balance defines the strength of India's constitutional democracy.